Jynxzi is arguably one of the most famous Clash Royale streamers in the world, and he's often attributed to being one of the key factors that made the game so famous after all those years. But the reality is, many people noticed that Jynxzi isn't particularly a good Clash player. There are many clips where Jynxzi made bad plays that no actual good player would do, leading to many calling him out for being bad at the game. But how bad is he actually? And does it matter, considering Jynxzi's main target is entertainment and stream clips? Does being good at Clash actually matter for him? Well, let's break it down and figure out exactly how bad Jynxzi is at Clash Royale. Jynxzi is a streamer that got his rise mainly from the game Rainbow Six Siege, streaming relentlessly every day for years until he started gaining more and more viewers. Over time, he grew a huge fan base and became one of the top Rainbow Six players in the world. And he was actually really good, but his fame mainly came from his rage clips.
I'm absolutely f***ing livid!
At his peak in R6, he became a top Twitch streamer, reportedly among the top 5 by viewership for the game in 2024, which is crazy considering Siege was almost a decade old by then. But after 9 years of grinding Siege, burnout hit, and Jynxzi decided to take a break from its intense, toxic environment and try something totally different. That's when Clash Royale entered the picture. In the summer of 2023, Jynxzi switched from Rainbow Six to Clash Royale in order to play something lighter, and here is where the run started. At the time, the game was practically dying, because players were boycotting it due to bad updates, lack of care from the devs at Supercell, and a huge focus on pay-to-win elements with almost non-existent free progression system, which made it lose its core player base. The community was ready to leave the game behind, until Jynxzi came. Supercell doesn't deserve this, but it seems like any of that game Jynxzi touches is gold, so I guess they are given one last undeserved chance. Jynxzi is the only reason that Greedy Cell still gets players in the game. Jynxzi gave Clash Royale the comeback many players claim is undeserved. Instead of letting the game die so that the devs would revert on their updates, he actually made the game more famous. He attracted an even bigger and new player base that gave Supercell the signal to not change anything. Clash Royale's interest is actually starting to climb again, despite the controversy the game has experienced recently, and the top replies on this tweet clearly state the reason. I didn't think it was possible, but Jynxzi has single-handedly made Clash Royale the most popular it has ever been in 3 years after a devastating update. Within months, he was drawing massive audiences. We're talking 50,000 plus concurrent viewers on Twitch, numbers the Clash Royale scene had never seen before. By late 2024 and into 2025, Jynxzi had arguably become the face of Clash Royale's resurgence. And suddenly, many players joined the game, Clash Royale clips were flooding TikTok and YouTube Shorts, memes started to form, and it became one of the biggest and most profitable game for Supercell. But despite all the fun, the memes, and the views, there's a big segment of the Clash Royale community that isn't impressed with Jynxzi's gameplay. They love his entertainment, his rages, and his clips, but when it comes to raw skill, they'll tell you he's not a top player by any means. From the moment he started playing Clash Royale, Jynxzi has had access to coaching from some of the best players in the world. We're talking literal champions and top-tier Clash Royale pros like Muhammad Light, who's a 2-time world champion, Riley, a top ladder player, Ian77, and many others who have been in calls with Jynxzi, guiding his deck choices and strategies. In theory, this should give him a huge advantage. However, even with all this expert help, Jynxzi often makes basic mistakes and poor plays.
Stop with the dicks! Jesus!
He's got Riley, Ian77, Mo Light, and others coaching him. He still plays poorly. It makes me extremely envious that he gets all these opportunities that many players wish they could get, yet he's losing games he should easily be winning. He gloats when he's winning against a noob and screams his lungs out when his crappy plays don't work out. This is a running discussion within the Clash community, seeing how Jynxzi plays the game for hours every single day, has access to the best players, and is the face of the game online. They would expect him to be a top ladder player, or even better, a pro. He even expressed his desire to go pro in Clash Royale in a stream with XQC once.
My goal is to go pro in this game in like 2 years. That's what I want to do.
This has to be troll. It has to be.
I swear to God, I want to go pro in this game in like 2 years though.
Make no mistake, Jynxzi is better than 80% of the players in Clash Royale. He reached top 100 in the world rankings and top 4 locally. You don't get there by being an amateur player that doesn't know what he's doing. You need serious skill, knowledge, and grind in the game to get there. But this doesn't change the fact that his many mistakes or inability to control some games make him a long way to go to reach pro, because when he faced actual pro players, the holes in his game started to show, and he massively underperforms despite being coached by the best. In high pressure 1v1s like his game versus Onipixel or the 1 vs Ken, viewers noticed Jynxzi would mistime his card placements, mismanage elixir, or fall for simple baits, errors that an experienced player would avoid. Now you can argue the fact that losing to pros is a normal thing, anyone would lose against them, and Jynxzi being simply a streamer is excused for suffering these losses. But it's not just the pro players. Through his collabs, Jynxzi has played against other streamers and content creators, only to surprisingly lose to some of them. In a collab stream with MrBeast, the goal was for Jimmy to get one win over Jynxzi. Despite Jimmy being coached by Riley, Mo, and Ken at the same time, Jynxzi managed to actually get 23 straight wins, but the 24th time, Jimmy got the upper hand. A beautifully timed Goblin Curse on Jynxzi's skeleton army and graveyard gave Jimmy the ultimate counter push with an executioner in the back. Despite Jynxzi trying to defend with arrows and guards, Jimmy's vines was the home run that ultimately gave him the win he needed. And the same thing happened when he faced off against Chunks and Jason the Ween. Jynxzi failing to predict or know that Chunks' evil skeleton barrel is coming up ultimately cost him the entire game, and with the clone at Chunks' hand, the tower was down, and Jynxzi lost the game. And against Jason, a bad elixir management and mistimed Ice Wizard gave Jason's Prince a clear way into his tower, taking it down, giving Jason the win in their first match of the stream. These viral moments show the fault in Jynxzi's game that many people point out, and it's a running discussion within the comments section or the online community. Is Jynxzi actually good at the game, or he's just incredibly entertaining with access to the best players? The criticism usually starts with one simple point. He makes way too many mistakes for someone who plays the game every single day for hours and is surrounded by literal pros. People point out how he constantly misplays, forgets rotations, drops cards too early, or wastes elixir. Some people with an analytical eye often point out that Jynxzi hovers around mid to top ladder skill-wise. He can beat average players, but he struggles with advanced tactics like counting enemy elixir, precise micro interactions or predictions, or adjusting deck rotations on the fly. Yes, he has reached Ultimate Champion, but you can't deny that the access to pro player coaching he has and the thousands of dollars he spent maxing out his cards played a big part in that. So, how bad is he? Taken together, these points portray Jynxzi as a below average player by competitive standards. If you dropped him in a pro tournament, he'd almost certainly place near the bottom. He relies on max cards and coaching, loses to non-pros, makes frequent mistakes, and doesn't demonstrate high-level strategy. By those measures, yes, Jynxzi can be considered bad at Clash Royale. However, that's not the end of the story. All this raises a bigger question. Does Jynxzi's skill level even matter given what he brings to the table? The overwhelming idea among Jynxzi's fans is that his entertainment value far outweighs any shortcomings in his skill. Even many of his supporters will admit he's not a pro player, but that's not why they watch. They watch him because he's fun, he makes them laugh, and because he creates hype moments in a game that had gotten stale. He revived the game by sheer personality alone. To one half of the audience, Jynxzi is an entertainer who made Clash Royale fun again. They don't care about how good or bad he actually is. All they care about is how much fun they have watching him. But to the other half, he's an overhyped player who makes so many mistakes and isn't actually good. He just has a lot of viewers. But no one can deny that Clash Royale has never been more alive than it is right now, and a lot of that is because of him. You would never see 60,000 live viewers on a Clash Royale stream before. At this point, whether Jynxzi is actually good or bad at Clash Royale almost feels irrelevant. He's all about getting stream famous and getting clips to go viral on TikTok. And if this means making an intentional mistake sometimes and pretending to fail to get a viral rage clip, he's willing to do that, no questions asked. There's a big difference between pro players and streamers, and you rarely find both in one person. Clash Royale pros like Moonlight, Moogie, or Surgical Goblin might stream and pull a dedicated audience of competitive players who want to see the very best plays. These streamers might not be overly performative because the content is the gameplay itself. They might explain their thought process, quietly outplay opponents, and show you how to defend a 15 elixir push with 3 skeletons, which results in their viewer count being respectable but generally smaller because the appeal is somewhat niche. We see this with streamers like ISOSpeed in other games who Jynxzi is often compared to, or historically someone like Ninja in Fortnite who was a very good player at the game, but it was his energetic, interactive style that made him explode beyond the core gaming audience. Being the best at the game was never the point. Another thing to consider is longevity. Pro players' fame tends to be tied to the game. If Clash Royale's competitive scene died, a pure pro might lose relevance. Jynxzi, on the other hand, has already proven he can game jump. He went from Siege to Clash and not only retained his audience but even grew it. And when Clash Royale eventually fades, it's highly likely that Jynxzi will move to another game, and a good chunk of his fans will move with him because they're fans of him, not just the game. So coming back to the question, how bad is Jynxzi actually at Clash Royale? The honest answer might be pretty bad if we're talking pure skill, but who cares? He's great at being a Clash Royale entertainer, and he has done more for the game and its players than if he were an ultra skilled but boring streamer. Jynxzi may never be a Clash Royale champion in the competitive scene. Instead, he's something arguably more valuable in today's gaming landscape, a champion of entertaining people and building a community. He's not a pro player, he's a streamer that is entertaining and brought life back to the game, and that is all that actually matters. And just like this person puts it, Jynxzi to Clash Royale is what Ninja was to Fortnite.